Hello everyone, it's LiquidKitten,
and Headless97.
and we're here for yet another new series that we're going to be calling Neutral Opinion.
And this is where, generally speaking, Liquid just finds a game and loves it almost unconditionally for who knows how long. It depends on the game. And it may not be something I'm interested in, but generally speaking, I have kind of a distance from it. So it kind of gives a different opinion on the game, a different perspective, so to say.
So for those of you who maybe you're a fan of MMOs, or you're not, and you're thinking of Guild Wars 2, and you want to hear some opinions on it, this will be a way for you to get an opinion from somebody who loved MMOs and likes this game a lot, and the opinion from somebody who hasn't really spent too much time with MMOs and doesn't really have stuff to go on, or crazy love
Yeah, I basically have no factual information on this.
at all.
Guild Wars was actually my first MMO. I didn't like the idea of paying a monthly subscription. It seemed like just ripping people off. So it was $20 at the time for the Game of the Year edition. Game of the Year is kind of a promising award. So I picked it up and got to level 12.
Which is pretty good on a Guild Wars game. Or at least on the original. Because it was like level 20 max, I think.
Was it?
On the original game, level 20 was max level.
Huh. It didn't seem like I had gotten that far.
Yeah, you get maxed in the first game very fast. So ahead of time, I do want to apologize. I don't know if this is still because Guild Wars 2 is going through a lot of maintenance, or if it's just Fraps in general, or what it is. But Fraps and Guild Wars 2 don't get along too well together, so there is going to be some pretty low frames, around, I would say, 20, sadly. If it looks like it's dropping a little too much, maybe I'll just lower the settings, but I did some tests, and 20 seemed okay for watching-wise. I know it's not the best, but I still want you to see what the game looks like, not just... because I know a lot of people, sadly, will judge it based on its look as well. So I figure if the problem isn't that the game looks bad, it's that my frame rates are low, that helps the game for those people that are going to judge it based on looks.
And looks are actually pretty important for an MMO, considering the most popular MMO right now, World of Warcraft, is pretty ugly. And games like Terra were pretty well known for being very good-looking games. So Guild Wars 2 being exceptionally pretty is a high point.
Yeah, and sadly, I feel like Terra has fallen off, at least the talking scene. But at the same time, it's okay because it's weird. I really wanted an MMO, and that was different than WoW, but still felt familiar. And so coming from the perspective of somebody who is into MMOs in that scene, what I will say is, I feel like this game is a lot more polished, and has a lot more content, a lot more depth than any MMO I've played. The fact that there's a one-player storyline, that you make decisions, and you control stuff, and it feels almost like you're playing a one-player game when you're doing your story, yet as you're walking around doing other stuff, it's still a full MMO. And there's just a lot more freedom and a lot more storyline choice that you get to affect, which is something I really like.
It's something that's even done better here than in many other games that try for that. Mass Effect being the prime example. The entire series, the whole trilogy, was designed around making choices, branching out and experiencing different storylines than you had before. Of course, it was an EA game, so that whole thing was just shut out.
Yeah.
And it became a linear third-person shooter. That's it. This is actually a full role-playing game, a multiplayer role-playing game at that. And you do have a branching storyline. You can take it in any direction. Even if you have the same character, you can end up with different decisions and go down a different path.
Such as, for an example, with this character earlier, for those of you who don't want spoilers, I won't tell you what background I chose or anything, but I ended up in a scene where I had to fight as a gladiator because my legionnaire got upset with me because I failed. And the random missions you actually see in the world, if you fail, you don't just fail the mission, they actually move on. If you're playing in the human area, there's actually an event where um, there's an oh geez, there's an event where bandits are trying to poison the water supply, but it's not. Oh, you failed at the water supply, so that's it. You failed the event, and you have to wait for it to respawn. Instead, it changes. It's called dynamic events. It changes, then it goes, okay, well, the apothecary needs a way to make an antidote so nobody dies, so then you actually have to, you do fail that event, but you still get credit because then you initiate the second phase, which is you start collecting poison to help make antidotes.
And that kind of thing is really cool. Having the world change even slightly, having some sort of impact to your actions. I remember when I was trying, what was it? The Star Wars MMO, not the Old Republic, the one before that. Galaxies?
I don't remember.
I remember when I was trying that, I didn't ever plan on paying for it. I was just doing a quick 14-day trial for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going around the main tutorial area, and they would say, do this quest, and I would do it, and then a moment later it would just respawn. So it's like I had absolutely no effect on it at all. I just saved this person, and now he's back in trouble all over again.
Yes.
So it's kind of like, well, what's the point of saving him if it's not actually going to mean anything?
Speaking of which, random boss battle has appeared.
The nice thing about these random events is that it's designed to bring people together. Normally in an MMO, you could go out on your own doing solo stuff, which is nice in its own way, except MMOs don't usually have the gameplay to stand on their own as a single-player game.
Yeah.
And having people around you really makes a difference. Most MMOs, all the people you see are standing around in a hub world, dancing and talking about nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Look at this. There's, what, 7, 8 people here fighting this guy with you?
Yeah, and the cool thing about Guild Wars 2 is even the basic enemies, like the Star Elementals I was fighting, if you try to do those events by yourself, you will die. The enemies in this game are as challenging, even in the open world, as any single-player game. You will die if you don't keep on your heels. The game does not help you with that. It doesn't hold your hand. The very first the level, 2 areas I was going to when I first started, the enemies there would kill me.
And that's something that's really important in an MMO, is actually being challenged.
Yes.
Because the gameplay...
Sorry, 1 second.
There we go.
Alright.
Because the gameplay is pretty straightforward and pretty basic, you need something to spice it up, and having that extra amount of difficulty can do that. You need some sort of challenge, otherwise it becomes a very dull slog, and you just don't want that.
Yes, and as you see right now, another event has appeared. There's always something going on. So there's this guy here named Strun Basklatch, and he needs to go on a patrol. And so we can gather around him, and when we're ready, someone can talk to him and say, alright, let's go, and we become a squad, and we actually get the mission to escort this guy across the map, and his death is our responsibility. Oh wait, no, that's not him. Where is he? That was the NPC I just helped. Engineer Marinus. Where's Engineer Marinus? Huh, I don't know where... Okay, give me a second. I've lost the engineer.
Hey, look, a wolf that didn't attack you on the site.
Yeah. A lot of the mobs in this game are passive-aggressive. Until you get to, higher level areas, or unless it makes sense. Hyenas won't just attack you. I mean, I'm a giant freaking guy in armor. Hyenas want to... Or, well, girl in this case. Hyenas don't want part of that.
Aw, it's so cute.
I know. Look at it. It's like a mini-me. Okay, another thing. This game rewards you greatly for exploring. And so, Brennan, being an RPG, that's a good thing. You want to feel like the world matters. And so, they have actual jumping puzzles in this game and all kinds of stuff. They have actual puzzles that you can solve randomly in the world.
No.
And by solving them, you get rewards in both experience and items.
Now, personally, I'm not incredibly fond of jumping puzzles. I think they have a place, usually in actual platformers.
Mm-hmm.
In a role-playing game, and especially, an open world MMO or something, you need to actually have a really open world. The first Guild Wars had a pretend open world.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually quite linear. It was just big.
Yeah.
There were
Yeah.
tiny branches that you could go off on, but it wasn't a fully open world that you could navigate. Having these kind of, I guess you would call it a jumping puzzle or a navigational puzzle, it's part of the exploration of the world. Can I climb up this? Yes, I can. And I walk along here, and there's a secret. It's, it adds to the exploration and gives you something to actually try to find when you explore, instead of just being farther away from where you need to be and having to walk back.
Mm-hmm. And as you can see here, so right now it says Flame Legion. The Flame Legion attacked the armory, and they were pushed back, but they weren't fully destroyed. And so what happens is the Flame Legion falls back to their cave, and we actually have to come in here and finish off the rest of their clan.
And see, this is the kind of thing that I want to see from an MMO. Massive amounts of players actually working together to do something naturally and coherently in the world, and not everyone getting together at some hub, waiting for a timer to count down so that they can start a boss battle.
Mm-hmm. And unlike, and this is something I want to get your opinion on. So in World of Warcraft and similar games, the original Guild Wars, EverQuest, Lord of the Rings Online, DDO, etc., they have the questing system of you are at a hub, you see people who have marks above their head, you walk over to them, you talk to them, and then they give you a wall of text, you read it, you hit OK, you go do it. You come back to them, and that's it. In Guild Wars 2, the only quest you have that appears on your map, which is this green circle, if I can find where mine is right here, the only quests that pop up are going to be, and the world is very big.
We'll get to that later.
Yeah, the only quests that pop up, it's like Google Earth. Okay, let's go to Street View. There we go. No, sorry. So, the only quest that pops up is your actual story, which is the one-player style game. So you have like voiced over. I mean, everything's voiced over anyways, but you have options and things, and you know, it's
very descriptive.
Options and things. Yeah, options and things and voices. Yeah.
And voices.
And voice. It's like, imagine, like Dragon Age or something, but a little more in depth, which I think is kind of funny because it's an MMO and its storyline missions. I feel more like I'm playing a really good one-player game than any one-player game I've played in a long time. Coupled with then in between them, I can play MMO. So I don't. It's just, it's good. I like it. It's a lot of fun.
But your map isn't overflowing with random quests. Random quests come up and you can do them.
Yes.
But you aren't filling up a journal with random quests that you're going to have to forget about and come back to later.
Yeah,
So
and
I know in Skyrim and Morrowind and Oblivion, I just got my journal filled with quests that I never got around to doing. Because I was always off exploring and doing something else.
Drake Slayer.
Here in Guild Wars 2, when you're exploring and off doing something, these quests are just coming at you naturally, and you can do them at any time.
Yes. And what I was going to say is, yeah, the quests are found by walking over. There's no talking. I mean, you can talk to the NPC if you want, if you're really into story, which I am. For this video, I'm not doing it. You can walk up to the NPC, you can press F, and you can talk to them. You have chat options. You can even pick a personality. And the personality affects what options you can do better. So even though I picked Ferocious for this person, I can still pick the charming option to say. And necessarily won't be the best option. Maybe I won't get the answer I want, but I have the ability to try it.
I actually find that's really cool. One of the things that it's important to me about an MMO, or not MMO, but an RPG. RPG means role-playing game, which means I should be playing a role. Normally in a computer game, RPG means has stats. You level up.
Yes, it means you have stats, you level up, and there's, you know, loot. That's usually what RPG means when you're playing computer games.
So I really like the idea of having a personality, and not being necessarily limited by your personality, but having that personality give a strength in certain areas and a weakness in others.
Yeah.
So being ferocious, you can probably do more for intimidation than charming and finding a mate or whatever the Char do in this game.
Exactly. Just while I wreck some fools. There we go. Now, I know I just talked about how hard the enemies can be, and it doesn't seem like it, but I am playing a Guardian, and they are kind of like a magical tank. I don't really know how to explain it. They're like a mage tank. And so, they definitely have a lot more survivability than some other classes do. But that's just kind of how they work. But they do have some negative things about them. It's just things that I can't really show that well, just given the current area I'm in.
Very nice, simple, clean menu interface.
Mhm.
Buttons are discreetly in the corner, but still accessible.
Yes.
Your interface is actually very smooth and appears to be easy to use. I mean, given
It
that I
is.
haven't played it, but he's not spending a lot of time slogging through menus.
Mhm. It's usually just click on mail, hit accept, delete the mail, move on. You know, if I want to check my guild, I just hit G. I can see who's online. I can do stand down if I want to give up my status, but I don't want
It's
to.
amazing that they put the stand down button so prominently.
Well, yeah.
That's one mark I'll put against their guild menu. Let's see what else we have here.
Well, I think
Names,
there's one that.
people, their ranks.
Yep. Oh. I'm on the top?
We should have it devour.
I guess top of people that are currently online.
They cheat through everything. You walk it. You stupid.
I wonder where that is. Oh, because these aren't representing right now. People that haven't, they're part of the guild, but they haven't chosen to fly our flag, to say. You can't see it because I'm actually playing as this character. When other people look at me, they see my name, and then they actually see our guild tag, like how it's TFG. People look at me, and they see Marlika, and they say GU. So I'm flying our flag, per se.
Now, while I'm thinking about it, let's take another look at that map. Because I actually think that's quite impressive.
Alright.
It is semi-three-dimensional, at least it looks three-dimensional.
And it shows you
so
where
well
you've
drawn.
been recently.
Yeah, it shows you where you've been moving around. Everything is very well labeled. I know that is Lake Ferretus. I know that's the Genbreach Hills, the Devourer's Mouth, Tila Range. And frankly, you can see where you need to go. You can see where you are. You can see where you've been. And when someone talks about something, you can actually find it. Because it's all quite well labeled. And when you zoom out, you get to see the sheer scope of the map. And look at that. That is actually a very, or reasonably sizable map, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if that's all of it. They might have more.
You know, you can still move around, and you have to remember that the first Guild Wars had many expansions, so you can definitely plan on their... Oh yeah, when you zoom out, it shows you the recommended levels for the area.
That's actually pretty cool. So you know about what power level you should be when going in there.
Mm-hmm. See, 1 to 15. So it's safe for me to go this way if I want to. I can travel this way safely.
What's further that way?
I don't know.
40 to 50?
40 to 50.
That's pretty high level.
The cool thing is how it works, how you expand your map is two ways. Exploring, or if I zoom in, you see these periscopes, those are scouts. And when you talk to them, I'll actually show you. It's easier to see. It's really cool how it works. So, like I said, people that actually like really care about the environment and stuff, when you talk to a scout, they reveal locations on your map as well as give you the background of current events going on there. So when you move in to go do these heart missions, these quests, you don't go in just randomly doing it. You go in knowing why they're happening, what's the reasoning behind it, and how it affects the overall world, like what's actually happening. So like here.
There he is. There's the scout.
Welcome to the real Ashford. This land's been ravaged by humans for centuries. We intend to reclaim it from their ghosts and finally have our homeland back. These hills are treacherous, so get ready to do your part for the legions. You are an important cog in the machine.
That's a very brief one, but there are some scouts that explain a lot to you. But
It's also a bit of story exposition there.
mm-hmm.
Well, that's something I didn't know about the world. Of course, I don't know anything about the world.
Mm-hmm. Another thing is, the big thing in WoW is everyone was like, they're spending money on mounts, and people that just started felt almost like they're being punished for being new because they couldn't get mounts and they had to walk everywhere. Guild Wars 2 went, you know what, whatever. We're not going to sit there and be like, no, you have to be level 50 to get a mount, and if you have a mount, you're going to be slow, and it's going to suck, you know. Instead, you just hit your map, you look at a place you've been, so say I'm like, oh, you know, I really want to go visit this merchant over here. I just go, okay, 6 copper, fast
Did you see
travel.
those Flame Legion down there corrupting like Veritas?
I like that there is
There's
some
tar
effect
everywhere.
for fast traveling. You pay a bit,
Mm-hmm.
not much. 6 copper isn't that much to deal with.
6 copper is a couple really noob items. Like, I could go kill some monsters and sell the things they just drop normally. Like, I could go kill some centaurs and sell 2 hooves, and that's already paid for me to travel all the way across the map.
And what's nice about that is if you're meeting someone, you don't have to sacrifice all the progress that you've made going in one direction to get back there.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be inhibitive. It's actually basically promoting cooperation with players and with other friends.
Yes, and that brings us into the level down system. So, level scaling. See, my level's been adjusted to match the area you're in. Say you have a friend who's newer to the game, and you want to play with him, but you've been playing for a while. And you're like, well, you know, I want to help you, but I don't really want to restart my character. Maybe you have 5 character slots, and they're all full with, like, level, 20 or so people.
And maybe your friend has been playing up to level 7.
Someone's coming.
Yeah, maybe your friend's level 7, and you want to play together, but you're like, I don't want to pay to unlock a new character slot, and I don't really want to change servers, because this is the server I'm invested in. What it'll do is, it'll actually level you down to within 2 levels at max, I believe, higher than the level you're in. So you won't feel so overpowered at all. You actually lose a lot of HP, even going down 1 level. And so it makes it so that you can play with your friend, and you can still be a higher level than him, but you're not going to just be stealing, the experience and all that. Because also how this works is it's not, you make a party, you go kill things, and then it splits experience up. You don't even have to be in a party with your friend to help him out. You can easily follow him around to the hearts and just mess around there and help him out like that. And you'll still both get full credit for it.
And that's something that's really great.
Talk to me.
I like that they promote getting together with friends. I like that they make it easy because, when I first got Guild Wars, I got it on the recommendation of another friend. And when I got it, I wanted to play with him. Of course, he had been playing almost since the game came out. He was a really high level. I had just started, and he basically abandoned me. That's part of why I never really got into the game after that.
And as you can see, this is my abilities down here. But if I walk over, see empty bottle. I can pick it up, and there's not really much use for it, but now I have a bottle that I can use. I can go beat people with a bottle if I really wanted to.
And you might be thinking, well, that's kind of meh. Like, great, you can interact with the bottle. That's something, but it doesn't really have an impact on the game. Well, the bottle is just one thing you could interact with. I've seen Liquid pick up cannons, pick up other swords, and they give you a little ability slot right there to use them with.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and that's another thing I want to get to. So, if we go into the skills. Oh, also, you can have town clothes. Yay, town clothes. Alright, so, back to armor. This isn't loading yet for some reason. Oh, there we go. Yay! Okay. And you can also toggle your look whenever you want. Oh yeah, so here. So these are the dyes you start with. See this one that's glowing? This is when I killed a mob and it dropped a dye bottle. So you can actually unlock more advanced colors and more effects and stuff for your armor just from finding bottles.
And other games have done dyes before. I think the first Guild Wars had dyes.
It did.
But they were pretty ridiculous.
They were very expensive.
You had to spend quite a lot of money, and all it did was allow you to color part of your armor. And I just didn't think it was worthwhile. But people were spending a lot of money to trade these dyes, and I didn't see the point of it. Now here, I can customize my character however I want, whenever I want, using any of these colors, and I can get more dyes and still trade dyes. And
yeah. Yeah. Sorry, 1 second. We're recording.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's alright.
This part can be edited.
Oh, good. What I was gonna say is I want to have some friends over for dinner. You're welcome to stay. I've got enchiladas, rice, beans, and tamales I picked up from Costco and Oliver's. Just gonna heat it all up.
Well, I take you up on that, but I have to get off to school at
Oh, it's
some
okay.
time, so
Sure.
I appreciate the offer.
Well, some other time then.
I'll be here.
You'll be here? Cool.
Excellent.
Right.
We're doing it's called Neutral Opinion. It's a video where we take a game that Brennan's not too into and that I really like, and I basically interview his opinion on it. So people that want to try out a game can see the opinion of someone who's really into it and someone who doesn't know anything about it. So that way both demographics can get an opinion that matches what they might think.
Interesting.
and then Jake gives us the animal opinion.
He's a consultant. He says he's paid a lot for his short appearances in your videos.
Yeah.
I don't believe him.
Paid a lot for his short attention.
He's actually in the background of a lot of the videos, making noises and stuff.
Come on. Are you in this one?
You don't know.
Well, make up your mind.
They don't like me.
So that was a quick side thingy. Rabbit trail. Enchiladas sound delicious. So we can't make this too much longer since Headless does have to leave. But what I was gonna say is, you have your class abilities, which are under slot traits, that you unlock, and they go into 7, 8, 9, and 0 keys. And then if you go to weapon skills, it shows you all the weapons you can have, both Mayhand and two-hand and offhand, and what abilities you get with using them. So I went for Greatsword, so I get these 5 abilities. But if I wanted to, I could get a Mace in my main hand, which would give me True Strike, Symbol of Faith, and Protector Strike. And then in my offhand, I could put a Focus or a Torch. So then I have the option of, having those 3 Mace abilities and then throwing on Ray of Judgment and Shield of Wrath. Or maybe I want to get Zealot's Flame and Cleansing Flame. Or maybe I want a Shield for extra defense and some bashing abilities. So you not only have the traits, which I can't show you with this character sadly, which are like, more ways to make you unique, but you also have your weapon abilities and your chosen abilities. So you have lots of ways. I actually, I don't know if there's more or less in different classes, but most of the classes I've tried, I've tried all of them. But I've only gotten really far with about 4 or 5 of them, so almost all of them. And so far, all of them have had multiple ways that I could play them out if I wanted to. Multiple styles. Whereas with the Guardian, you could get a lot of vitality, and you could get the shield and stuff like that. You could go for kind of like a defensive Guardian. So you do lots of ally buffing. Maybe go for a shield mace, so you have the shield wall and the ability to create auras of defense and retaliations and stuff like that. Or you do what I did, you go for the Greatsword. So you still have your passive abilities, like I can heal my allies or give my allies all burning damage, but at the same time, I'm more of a power build. I do lots of damage myself, so I'm more of a magical warrior than a tank.
Now, one of the things that is definitely worth mentioning is that any race can play as any class.
Oh, yes.
That's something that's actually pretty nice, because in most games you'll see, well, the dwarf is going to be the tanky warrior, and the human is the do-anything, and the elf is going to be the mage or the ranger or something like that. This breaks out of those. One, by not having just dwarf and elf, they actually have some fairly unique races in this game, which is certainly a nice break from the typical fantasy world, which this isn't a typical fantasy world. It's like fantasy/future. It's it's definitely a different world to look at and to be in. But it also means that if you want to, you can create a char giant cat thing that can sneak around actually quite effectively. There's actually many ways you can take your character, and they all look different, they all play different. With that, it's able to create a more interesting world and a more interesting game. Because you don't feel so confined when you're creating a character.
Yes. Yes. I don't have anything to add to that. You actually perfectly explained it, so...
Now, all this, it seems like quite a lot of praise, because frankly, it is. I mean, Guild Wars 2 has been one of the most hyped games, or MMOs anyway, for some time, because it's actually looking to do something different. Nice example of exploration and scaling here. Look at this, just climbing the crap out of this hill. And look, there's something to reward him with. But this video series is, generally speaking, about a dissenting opinion, a different opinion. So, am I head over heels in love with Guild Wars 2? Not necessarily. If I were to get another MMO, it would probably be Guild Wars 2, just because it's the most interesting looking one I've come across in some time. My complaint with it is that it still looks very much like an MMO, in the way the characters move and the way the interface is. Everything has a text name above it, things like that. It's doing quite a lot to break out of being and feeling like an MMO. It's not quite there yet, but it is a very good first step. And some things, they are important conventions. Having the name above it is important too. You do need to know what you're fighting. We're still trying to get to a point where we can make that obvious through the characters. There's a nice cannon there. But it
Yeah.
does look, and to some extent feel, like an MMO. And frankly, I don't really expect it not to, because it is an MMO. And frankly, if I were to get one, it would probably be this. And then I could just as easily play with LiquidKitten and actually have something to do with the game.
Yes. And, on top of that, for how well made it is, there's no sub fee. Which I think you might have already said.
We may have. There is no sub fee, which is very important for me because I'm not going to pay any amount of money per month to play a game. I'm just not.
Give pep talk to the soldiers?
Pep talk from a ferocious char might not work out too well.
Let's see.
Give me a report.
Keep your voice down.
Get to the water raid. Go ahead, hurry.
You.
Speak.
Make it quick.
I'm trying. Maybe they need to have Ashley and Spy? Be careful, it's dangerous outside these walls. Thank you. Thank you for the warning. Yeah, well, you know, I think we'll probably close it off there. I mean, we've covered a lot. It's probably a pretty long video by now.
Probably is.
Yeah, but so I hope this is a okay, you know, a next step. I told you I'd be doing more Guild Wars videos. I'm definitely going to be doing some class-specific videos explaining them in more depth. What you have been seeing here in the background is a Guardian. I won't be able to perfectly explain every class, just because, like I said, there's multiple ways to play them. And sadly, sadly for you, okay for me is I'm not going to make like 3 of every class just to show you the different ways. I figure that's, you know, part of the fun of you when you pick it up is going to be seeing what you like. But I do like to go for damage. Just like in my LoL videos that you've seen, I pretty much play every class for damage, so that is something you will be noticing. But yeah, if you guys like the video, go ahead and let me know. I mean, you know, send me a message or anything, and I'll definitely keep that in mind. If there's any games you want to see, also let me know.
This is a series we may be working on. We may see changes to the format of it and how it all plays out.
Mm-hmm.
So we can expect good things in the future.
Yes,
And fewer interruptions.
yes, and they probably won't always be this long. This is an MMO, so there's a lot to talk about. You know, if we were doing some... what?
Well, in the future we'll have more practice at this. We could probably become more focused.
I'm defending a tent? Oh, jeez.
No, you're killing the raccoon. Kill it. Kill it.
No, I love raccoons. Our tent is being attacked. Oh, no. Oh, man. My tent. You bastards.
My leg!
Your leg! His leg! You jerks hurt his leg. That's it. No more Mrs. Nice, large cat of death with sword person.
Very, very ridiculous.
Thank you. Oh, and also, one thing I was going to say is the revival system. As you saw, that guy just got downed. But instead of him having to do like a body run or wait for a cleric to come by, which there's no clerics, I was able to run over there and actually give him first aid. And also on top of that, as you saw, there's now swords over this point because the ghosts are trying to invade the area. So this waypoint is actually considered contested, and therefore no one can fast travel to it anymore. So if there's a big war going on and you start contesting a point, you actually stop reinforcements from coming in. So it makes you getting downed a lot worse than it is. And you don't, you know, have a quick speed ghost form or anything like that. You just spawn and you're back to your normal self, and you're going to have to just try to find your way back there in time. And then if you don't get back there in time, or even if you do, you lose credit because you didn't help out as much. You died. So, oh, and there we go. That was a second wind system. You can see it very well. But, yeah, that was the last system I really had to explain. So, I will talk to you guys next time, and have a good